Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Division 2 video. So in this video, we will be breaking down an extremely powerful, beginner-friendly, solo legendary PvE build. And towards the end of the video, I'll also be revealing a very strong, beginner-friendly, solo Dark Zone PvP build that I'm sure many of you will like, especially if you're new to the game. Okay, so not only are both these builds fairly easy to set up, but they are also highly effective and perform well. And this first build is super strong. It has a ton of raw weapon damage, and I'll be explaining the reason for that in just a moment. I've made a video on this build in the past, but since then I've made some improvements to it, and this video will be a more in-depth build breakdown. Okay, so some of you might have already guessed it. This is a Striker's Battle Gear build. When it comes to DPS, Striker's Battle Gear is the greatest of all times. Just look at how easy it is to clear legendary NPCs with this build. Like, this is easily one of the best legendary builds on the game right now. Having the Saint Elmo's engine exotic assault rifle is probably the best weapon to use with this build, especially if you're running legendary missions. This weapon is truly incredible, and after hitting 100 shots, your next mag will have shock ammo, which is great for crowd controlling the NPCs. And if you don't have this weapon, no worries, because I'll be showing you some alternatives. Having the exotic coyote mask helps greatly increase this build's overall damage. The coyote mask will give you and your allies bonus critical hit chance and damage based on the distance from the last enemy you hit. This helps increase your overall damage output tremendously, and the coyote mask is a really good gear piece to have for any mid to long range DPS build. You're gonna feel the difference in damage out right away from wearing this mask. What makes this Striker build truly powerful is having both the Striker backpack and chest piece. For those of you who are new and don't know, having a 4-piece Striker set will unlock the Striker talent, which will increase your total weapon damage by 0.65% for each weapon hit, stacking up to 100 times. And by having both the Striker bag and vest equipped, this will basically upgrade this effect. For one, the Striker vest comes with a talent called Press the Advantage. This talent will increase the maximum stacks you get from Striker from 100 to 200, allowing you to deal out more damage. However, the downside to this is that you will need to build up your stacks to see great damage, and this is why some may find it better to use a Fenris group vest with the Obliterate talent instead. So just consider your playstyle here. If you like to play mid to long range like me, then this downside shouldn't really be a problem for you. You will still be doing a good amount of damage. And if you have the ACS 12 shotgun as your secondary, you should have no problems getting your Striker stacks up fast. But once you do get your stacks up, you will be hitting so much harder, sometimes with crits going as high as over 1,000,000. On the other hand, the backpack will increase the weapon damage you get from 0.65% to 1%. And this will only increase your weapon damage even further. So for having 2 pieces of Striker, you will be getting a nice 15% weapon handling. And since the Saint Elmo's engine exotic assault rifle already has a great amount of accuracy and stability, this will just give you laser beam aim. Look at the stability and accuracy of the Saint Elmo's engine with the Striker gear set. The stability is maxed out and the accuracy is damn near maxed out as well. This gun is amazing. Even without the shock ammo, it's very accurate and stable. It's basically a laser beam with the Striker gear set. And on top of that, you get a 15% increased rate of fire from having 3 pieces, which helps to get your shock ammo a lot quicker, because remember, at 100 stacks, the next magazine will be 100% filled with shock ammo. For the holster, I'm wearing the Picaro's holster. This holster adds a nice 15% increased weapon damage and is very easy to get in case you don't have one, with max critical hit damage and armor. For the gloves, maxed armor and critical hit damage. And for the knee pads, maxed armor and 9% critical hit damage. And for the stats, 42% critical hit chance with 158% critical hit damage. I've mentioned this in some of my previous videos, but I will mention it again for those who may not know. So whenever you are wearing the coyote mask, be mindful not to completely cap out your critical hit chance at 60% because you want to leave room for the coyote mask bonus, right? So if you are already at like 42 to 50% and you still have mod slots left, then just add more critical hit damage. That way you're not wasting any stat bonuses. Hopefully that makes sense. Now for the secondary weapon, the ACS 12 shotgun is great for building Striker stacks, but this is optional. So feel free to use whatever you'd like as your secondary because you will mainly be using the Saint Elmo for the most part. For the skills, I recommend using the Ballistic Crusader Shield and Reviver Hive if you're playing solo, and you could replace the Reviver Hive with the Decoy if you decide to run a legendary mission. The Decoy helps distract NPCs, which will buy you time to move from cover to cover or reposition. If you don't have the Saint Elmo's engine, then the Eagle Bearer and Shield Splinterer work great as alternatives. But if you'd like to farm for the Elmo, you can get it from basically anywhere that's dropping assault rifles as targeted loot. So it would be best if you either run Countdown or Summit, since you can always change your preferred targeted loot drop at any time. So this next build is very effective in PvP. It's great for a beginner and has a good amount of survivability. I showcased this build in a previous video, as well as a few other viable builds that I believe are a must-have, but in this video, I'll be going into a more in-depth breakdown. And for those who haven't seen that video yet, you can check it out right here if you're interested, and I'll leave a link in the description as well. But anyway, for this build, you have the option to swap out the chest piece to Fenris to steer it more toward assault rifles, or if you prefer SMGs, you can go with the Sokolov vest. I like to switch it up every now and then accordingly, but this build is great for Dark Zone PvP and it will perform great in conflict as well. The damage on this build is decent and the survivability truly makes it a great build for solo players. Having survivability is important because you will stay alive a lot longer when fighting multiple players. Look at that. Straight melted that guy like Swiss cheese. Too funny. The damage on this build is amazing. But anyway, if you wanted to, you can even increase the survivability by swapping out the Unbreakable Talent Vest for a perfectly efficient, everyday Carrier Vest. This chest piece, for those who may not know, comes with the talent Perfectly Efficient, so by using an armor kit, you have a 75% chance to not consume the armor kit. This is a big difference from the regular Efficient Vest that only has a 50% chance, so you will damn near have infinite armor kits. So if you prefer to use an SMG, the Ouroboros, Vector, and the Apartment SMGs all work great, and for assault rifles, the Shield Splinterer, Eagle Bearer, and Saint Elmo's engine are all top picks. So I have two pieces of the Walker Harris brand set for the 5% weapon damage and damage to armor bonus with maxed armor, critical hit damage, and chance. And for the backpack, a God-rolled Matador bag. Ugh, look at this masterpiece. Such a good RNG roll, it's crazy. But yeah, critical hit chance and damage maxed out with a critical hit damage mod, and I highly recommend going all blue with this build if you can. For the holster, Picaro's holster with 12% critical hit damage, and for those who may not know, the named Picaro's holster comes with 15% weapon damage. And for the knee pads, the named Fox's Prayer knee pads that come with 8% damage to targets out of cover and 12% critical hit damage. These knee pads are great for PvP because who really takes cover, right? Maybe rarely would you see anyone taking cover, but I'm not gonna lie, I do sometimes, but rarely. So again, you may want to swap this Sokolov vest out for a Fenris vest with Unbreakable if you prefer using ARs. And for the stats, 60% critical hit chance and 150.8% critical hit damage on the Ouroboros, with 41% critical hit chance and 140.8% critical hit damage on the Shield Splinterer. And for the skills, I recommend using the Defender Drone. The Defender Drone will increase your survivability by mitigating some incoming damage. And for the secondary skill, the Decoy will work great. Some players like to use an Explosive Seeker Mine to stagger others, which is another great option, but again, consider what works for you and better suits your playstyle. This is Prajna. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope you guys have gotten some value from it. Don't forget to leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and see you in the next video. Peace out.